Now, currently with Drake, the amount of losses he has been taking are coming in so fast that it's really impossible to keep up with all of them. But currently, what's most telling about just how bad everything has gone for Drake is the fact that with his current Anita Max Win Tour, which has been going on, Drake just canceled the remaining dates, and now more than numbers and all of the confusion about those could ever tell us. When you actually see why this tour was canceled, you will find out that Drake's career has never been more over. But now, before we go any further into this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And now, as Drake and OVO are trying to hide just how bad the cancellation of this tour has been, it has really never been more important to like and subscribe, as they don't want anyone to know just how terrible things have gone for Drake, even when he has ran as far as he possibly could away from Kendrick Lamar than you could have ever expected. And so now, with that said, when it comes to the cancellation of this Anita Max Win Tour, joining the list of the worst cover-ups we have ever seen from Drake with such laughable stuff as The Heart Part 6, which yes, the statement about canceling this tour is that bad, so prepare yourselves. When you look at this official statement that was released by Drake's team, it's honestly just funny, because with the fact that they thought people would believe something that reads, due to a scheduling conflict, 4 of Drake's 16 sold-out shows in Australia and New Zealand will be postponed. Just with that line alone, we don't need to read any of the other false promises Drake put into this statement as a whole, because we see everything we need to know right within these few words. Because somehow Drake and his team really sat down, and when they were trying to find a way to cover up why they are abandoning an entire tour, which is something Drake has never done like this in the past, somehow the best excuse they could have came up with is that they have a scheduling conflict. Which really, when you just think about these claims a little, they make absolutely no sense whatsoever, because when you understand how touring works and how much thought and planning goes into just booking and confirming when every show is happening, which in the entirety of the music industry is not just one of the most important aspects that keeps it running, but it's also one of the most well thought out and planned. This is just unheard of. You don't actually come up on a scheduling conflict this close to something happening, and making this all even worse, with an additional statement that someone from Drake's team and OVO ended up releasing following this, they claimed that the actual scheduling problem was that there was a 12-day gap between Drake's shows on the road, and because of this, Drake and everyone on the tour were not going to be able to stay there for this long with so much waiting time, so they just canceled it altogether because it wouldn't make sense for them to stay out there. And I don't even need to explain how this just makes no sense, because again, when you realize that Drake and his team booked this thing months in advance and knew the exact schedule they were going to be on, I mean, if this was just an issue, they could have moved the dates up a long time ago. So with that, how is this possibly an issue now when you had all of these months to prepare and figure out how to make the planning, timing, and traveling schedules of all of this work? And so really, when you just give all of this basic thought and understand that this entire claim from Drake and his team is not just a lie, but it's one of the worst cover-ups we have ever seen, which again is only confirmed by the fact that so many people around Drake, from OVO artists like Smiley and Party Next Door, to so many other people were already down there and seemingly had plans to not leave anytime soon. With all of this tour ending so abruptly leaves us with one major question, which of course is, what is the actual reason behind Drake and his team lying to every single person and canceling this entire run of shows? And again, when you understand that from what we have seen from Drake, there are no personal reasons he has ended this tour because he's still out doing the same old embarrassing things that he always does, this leaves us with a few possible reasons why Drake ended all of this so unexpectedly, which either way, no matter what the reality of the situation is, they are really just equally as bad, as they especially highlight how desperate this entire move from Drake always was, and how his career has never been more over, and over everything, how he does not care about bringing fans the art of his music, and he only ever cares about the popularity and status that this entire genre brings to him. And really, the number one and most likely outcome of what's going on is simply that the tickets for these shows were not sold out whatsoever, and because of this, Drake used this excuse as a cover-up to avoid the embarrassment of having a show that was not filled up, which of course in this time would have just been the worst thing that could possibly happen for him. And I mean, with the seating charts for these concerts indicating that this show was in not as high demand as maybe they would have expected, which adding more context to this when you have already seen the footage from his tour, from the fact that not all the shows have had completely filled arenas, to the fact that this tour has given Drake almost no good attention. Because at the very core of this entire experience he has been trying to deliver, the stage just looks uninspired and boring, And really, between people begging Drake for things with signs, to Drake nearly playing karaoke with how little he actually uses his voice during his shows, really, when you put all of that into context, Drake should not be surprised that in this time where he has never been lower in rap's power rankings, that this embarrassing excuse of a tour has done nothing to grow his fans or even make people want to go see these shows. And really, based on what we are seeing now, and really, as this outcome of what happened being so likely, we can say with a lot of certainty that the flop of this tour and these shows specifically was at least a leading reason for why this was all put to an end. And really, with Drake having to face either getting embarrassed by performing at empty arenas or just pulling the entire tour from happening altogether, just adding more context to why this all happened the way it did. I think what Drake and his team saw here was an opportunity by canceling these shows to make another move within their current losing playbook, which overall led them to think that with these low ticket numbers, they could cancel the show altogether. And then with the confusion and abrupt ending to these live performances, Drake, OVO, and all of their supporters will start to spread and play into the fact that they are being blocked and suppressed by the industry even when it comes to a tour like this. And of course, they will then say that this is why they had to end this run of shows before they were supposed to. And really, is just with the low numbers of Drake's new album, this is the exact same thing they have been doing to try and cope with the failure there? This really just seems so likely, and while these methods are pulling Drake and OVO further away from the respect of hip-hop fans and the culture as a whole, it is making what is left of the Drake fanbase come together around him more and truly believe in everything they are trying to say. And really, in a way, I do think Drake is trying to work to make sure that these people will support him no matter what happens, because he must realize, at least on some level, that nobody who has left his side is coming anywhere back close to him. And because of that, and also due to everything he is trying to gain from the music industry as a whole at this point, Drake is really just trying to make sure that these remaining fans he has stay loyal to him no matter what. And while the fact that this is where we are at is such a joke, we should not be surprised by anything we see from Drake now, because he really has shown that nothing is off the table, and just when we think he is done disappointing, he finds more and more ways to let us down. And now, circling back to other factors that may have played into Drake canceling this tour, another possible reason people think is because there is behind the scenes drama going on with his suit and everything there, and due to this, he had to leave the road and go handle that. But while some people are trying to say this is the case and Drake fans are acting like he has this bigger obligation to help his career and not go perform to his fans, I don't think this makes much sense either, because for him to cancel all of these dates, Drake definitely did not have to cancel every single show and remove this entire timeline of performances of when he was supposed to be on tour to handle whatever matter may be going on behind the scenes. And now, because of this, we really can say with near certainty that now, beyond anything else, we have the most tangible proof possible that Drake truly has fallen off worse than we have ever seen, as overall, even in these other places where he thought that he could run away from Kendrick Lamar and everything that he has going on, people don't even want to see him enough in these areas to support him. And really, with this, after Drake has already been in competition with people like The Weeknd and of course Kendrick, seeing them now both have entire stadium tours lined up, meanwhile Drake can't even fill out arenas in places that he has not been to in so long. There's no other way to say it, but it is just embarrassing for him, and I don't even know how you move forward from this and continue to try to act like you are better than everyone else, when just really, in the reality of this moment, Drake is flopping in every single regard. And really, now between the streaming numbers and the actual failure to move tickets, we really are seeing once and for all that there isn't this disconnect between how people listen to Drake and how he is being pushed by the industry. But overall, we are seeing that there is just less demand for everything Drake is doing than there ever has been. And this is because of no other reason than that he has just ruined his legacy so much ever since losing to Kendrick Lamar, because from the very moment that Not Like Us dropped to now, we have never seen someone do more to crumble their rap legacy so much and so quickly, because seriously, even now Drake has really not done one thing to help his image and win back the respect of everybody that he lost. And so with Drake and all of OVO, they're really going to have to rethink their entire strategy from here on out, because no matter what else they are doing and what they think, if they lose the respect and support of the people to this level where they can't even fill out arenas anymore, there is nothing left to discuss, because everything else is worth nothing. And for Drake and everyone around him, if this is not a lesson to just rethink everything they're doing and the actual efforts of it all, I don't know what will be. Because if you are now at the point where you need to cancel an entire tour, things are really worse than we could have ever even thought, which is of course saying so much. And so overall, with Drake's Anita Max Win Tour seemingly being over, What we can say for sure is that even when pretending to get back to the music and what people like Drake for in the first place, he has managed to show that he has ruined every single thing about it. And so now with all of that said, let me know. What do you think about Drake canceling this tour the way he did, all of the confusion around it, and going forward? Do you think this is showing us that Drake's career is really in a place where he is losing it all? Now I can't wait to hear what you have to say about all of this, and if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And now if you want to see how in this time, Drake is also making things even worse for his career because he is bringing in Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show into his current suit as well, check out the suggested video.